Hello everyone! Do you want to take a trip to the wide sea? Then come and join me and let's take a look on what should we know about the law of the sea. Did you know a Dutch lawyer whose name is Hugo Grotius is considered as the father international law but also the father of the law of the sea? Oh wait, what is the law of the sea again? It is a body of international rules that binds states and other subjects of international law in their maritime affairs. Its functions are the spatial distribution of national jurisdiction and to ensure cooperation between the states. Amazing, right? But who governs it? Actually, there are three principles that governs it, namely as principle of freedom, which aims to ensure the freedom of various uses of the oceans. Second is the principle of sovereignty that seeks to safeguard the interests of coastal states. Next is the principle of the common heritage of mankind. It seeks to promote the common interest of all people in present and future generations. And of course, if you violate the protocols that comes with it, then you just have to pay about 10,000 pesos. And if you're the kind of person who does not like to spend money, then probably just spend 6 years of your life in prison. That is applicable to all violations of all other provisions provided in the Act and these implementing rules and regulations. Now, let's dive into the law of the sea. Ready your goggles? First is the baseline. It is the line from which the outer limits of marine spaces under the national jurisdiction of the coastal state are measured. It is also considered as a boundary line that determines where a state's maritime sovereignty and jurisdiction begins and ends. The purpose is they create a demarcation between areas where a state has no rights and those where a state that does enjoy rights. Another is the archipelagic baseline, which is a state constituted wholly by one or more archipelagos and may include other islands. If we dive deeper, you will see the other kinds of baseline. First is the normal baseline. It is the low water line along the coast as marked on large scale charts officially recognized by the coastal line. Next is straight baselines. It is a system of straight lines joining specified or discrete points on the low water line. It is usually known as straight baseline endpoints, which may be used in localities where the coastline is deeply indented and cut into, or if there is a fringe of islands along the coast in its immediate vicinity. Closing lines across river, mouths, and bay, however, is a dividing line between the internal waters and the territorial seas of a coastal state enclosing a river mouth, a bay, or a harbor. And of course, the archipelagic baseline is a dividing line between the internal waters and the territorial seas of a coastal state enclosing a river, a bay, or a harbor. Whoa, that's a lot, but don't give up yet because there's more to uncover. As you can see, there are two kinds of archipelago. First is a coastal archipelago. It refers to a group of islands situated so close to a mainland that they may be considered a part thereof, forming more or less an outer coastline from which it is natural to measure the marginal seas. An example of that is the Norwegian Skjærgård. Second is the outlying or mid-ocean archipelago. It refers to a group of islands situated in the ocean at such distance from the coasts of the firmland as to be considered as an independent whole rather than performing part of or outer coastline of the mainland. An example of that is the Fiji. But what makes an archipelago and what does it need to constitute? There should be an existence of a group of islands, a historical practice, as well as existence of an instinct geographical, economic, and political entity, and lastly, adjacency of islands. Sailing a bit farther, now we can see the territorial sea that extends to a limit of 12 nautical miles from the baseline of a coastal state. Within this zone, the coastal state exercises full sovereignty over the airspace above the sea and over the seabed and subsoil. It is comprised of seabed, subsoil, adjacent waters, and airspace. Past is the EEZ or exclusive zone. We got so far because we are already beyond and adjacent to a territorial sea, not exceeding beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline of the territorial sea. EEZ and territorial. Wait, what are the difference? The difference is that the territorial sea first confers full sovereignty over the waters, whereas the EEZ is merely a sovereign right which refers to the coastal states' rights below the surface of the sea. The surface waters, as can be seen in the map, are international waters. Sailing much further, we will reach the high seas, which is the part of the ocean that is beyond any country's jurisdiction. These are the waters that do not fall within the EEZ of any country. This only means that it should not be owned or governed by a particular state. And now that we reach out the last destination, it's time to know what really take control and monitor these territories and boundaries of the sea. Meet the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, or ITLOS. It is a judicial body created by the Third United Nations for the Convention on the Law of the Seas to control and solve the arising tensions between the two countries that claims of their territorial waters. The purpose of ITLOS is to remind not just two countries but all countries in the world to follow the rules and protect the rights and sovereignty of each country if the other country will be aggressive and steal the territorial waters. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all learned something new.